Right now at 6, Newton County Sheriff is asking the public for any information regarding a burglary at the Pierce City Fire Department.
And we've got ourselves a chilly start out there, a few clouds, even some patchy fog, but we've got a pretty decent Monday lined up for us. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Super Bowl is less than a week away. We'll see how one local restaurant is preparing for the big game.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So if you just missed the end of our 5 o'clock show, the U.S. Embassy and the Japan Embassy are discussing the extraordinarily important details of Taylor Swift arriving. I'm telling you,
she is going to make it on time.
It's going to
go straight from her concert, flying how many hours? 16 hours to Las Vegas, and she will be there in time for kickoff.
I'm so glad that we've worked this out because
that
is a top priority.
It is, Chris.
I mean, I know I'm going to sound straight. I like Taylor Swift. Maybe it's just because she came out. She's like 2 years younger than we are, and her music was appealing to me years ago. But I'm not so sure that I'm that concerned with whether or not she makes it. Anyway,
I am. I'm really
I know there are plenty of folks out there, and I'm not saying
Swift.
anything about. I'm just. I personally am not, and I just think it is interesting that our embassies, their top priority is Taylor Swift's flight schedule. But it's all right. We know that she's going to make it because we've got the embassies on our side. Let's take a look at what else is on our side. Our camera on top of the Cornell complex. It's actually on a roof, but if you were to go on the roof and stand next to it, it would be right there on your side. And it's also showing us a pretty decent look out here. Looks great. A few clouds here and there. Otherwise, not bad. It's a little chilly, some patchy fog. MoDOT camera, 20th in range line. Also looking good as folks get their day underway. Here's the patchy fog we're talking about. Pittsburgh's been the example all morning. 10 is what it should read, 10 miles of visibility. That's on a clear day when there's no fog, nothing out there, no obstructions in your view. Pittsburgh is the only community reporting clear skies and clear visibility. Everybody else slightly reduced. Nothing significant, not overly dense fog, hence no dense fog advisories, but do watch out there as you get your Monday underway. Chilly, but again, about 10 degrees above average, 36 in Joplin as well as Pittsburgh. Kids getting on the bus this morning. Again, some patchy fog will be possible, otherwise partly cloudy. Low 30s, north breeze 5 to 10. North breeze picks up 5 to 15 with an occasional gust here and there, maybe to 20. And we're going to go upper 40s and mostly clear skies when that bus brings them home. Highs today into the low 50s, partly cloudy by noon, gradually clearing as we head into the evening. Got another chilly evening ahead of us. And we got warmer temperatures on the way and some additional rain chances. We'll look at all that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Newton County Sheriff is asking the public for any information regarding a burglary at the Pierce City Fire Department. On Friday, February 2nd, the fire station on 10,040 Wallaby Road near Jolly Mill was discovered to have been broken into after an inventory was taken. It was discovered that about $3,000 of equipment was missing. The list of stolen equipment includes an 8-drawer tool set, a full set of hand tools, an air compressor, a hydraulic rescue equipment, including Jaws of Life. If you have any information regarding the missing equipment, the Sheriff's Department is encouraging you to call the Newton County Sheriff's Office. And community members joined together to remember a Commerce, Oklahoma man 4 years after he was murdered. Yesterday's remembrance is known as Dusty Miller Day. There was a candlelight vigil, and those in attendance are hoping to keep Dusty's memory and spirit alive. Dusty's murder remains unsolved, and the community is still seeking answers.
We're here today to remember Dusty Miller. He was murdered on February 5th, 2000. As of today, 4 years later, justice has not been served. And I promised his mother on her deathbed that I would keep his memory alive and continue to put pressure on authorities to make arrest in his murder.
To help remember Dusty, you can use the hashtag Justice for Dusty Miller. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. The Super Bowl game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers is just a week away, but with ticket prices at a record high, many people are planning to watch the game closer to home. KOAM's Samantha Walker tells us how one local restaurant is preparing for fans.
Fans across the 4 states are preparing for the Chiefs to take on the 49ers in the upcoming Super Bowl game. And for last year's Super Bowl, many fans came to local bars and restaurants to catch the big game.
It was a typical Chiefs Super Bowl, so let's hope we get the same amount of numbers.
Jefferson's and Joplin says they've seen more customers coming to watch football following the Chiefs' success this postseason.
Definitely an increase in customers. Probably about 200 to 300.
And with the Super Bowl approaching, they are expecting even more. But the manager says the restaurant is working to be as prepared as possible for fans.
Everybody's game day is going to be here all day, so yes. And we always order enough wings, make sure we always have enough wings.
He also says fans will have plenty of places to look to watch the game.
I got 17 TVs. All is going to be Chiefs, yep.
He recommends people come early to make sure they find a good seat because he's expecting a lot of fans to come and watch the game together.
I think they just like to cheer their team on with groups of people in the area that have the same exact team that they like.
He adds that supporting area businesses during big events like this can have a positive impact.
I think it's just it helps just generate revenue in the area, and everybody likes. It's important for them to come because it helps small businesses stay in business. In
Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
To learn more about how area businesses are preparing for the Super Bowl, visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Las Vegas is hosting football's biggest game for the first time ever, and the city is going all out to make sure fans have a great experience. Plus, after months of negotiations, a bipartisan group of lawmakers have released the details of a new immigration agreement. We'll have the latest. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
You need a
109 Rangeline Road, Joplin, Missouri, right next to Justin Boots.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the countdown is on to Super Bowl 58. Las Vegas is hosting football's biggest game for the first time ever, and the City of Sin is going all out to make sure fans have a great experience. A week's worth of events kick off tonight with opening night. Jared Hill has more from Vegas.
The San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs arrived in Las Vegas last night, ready to do battle on the gridiron this Sunday. They're the newest arrivals among the 500,000 people expected to pour into this city for the big game.
Excitement is palpable within this destination.
Besides the game on the field, folks can enjoy the playground that is Las Vegas. From the casinos to betting on their favorite team, sightseeing, shopping, and stadium swimming, the Super Bowl Experience football theme park at Mandalay Bay Casino will let fans of all ages test their skills.
While Las Vegas is no stranger to hosting big events and even big Super Bowl celebrations, hosting the game itself is a different beast.
If you're just coming for Super Bowl, then you're going to see what Vegas has to offer on top of that, from the shows to the clubs to the dining to everything else. So those two worlds coming together is going to be pretty special.
It took the NFL more than half a century to invite Vegas to the party.
The stigma is off of Las Vegas. The impact of the spread of gambling and sports betting around the country has really had a significant effect on Las Vegas. Beyond Las Vegas, in terms of the image, it's no longer the case that most people think everybody here is a gangster.
Allegiant Stadium is the smallest NFL venue to date, and ticket prices are soaring. But for some lucky fans, maybe a big jackpot or even a royal flush could lead the way to landing one of those nearly $10,000 seats. Jared Hill, CBS News, Las Vegas.
Another exciting attraction is the Paramount Mountain of Entertainment, with a block of interactive fan experiences based on popular Paramount movies and shows. Catch the Super Bowl next Sunday right here on KOAM. And a sexual harassment lawsuit against Grammy-winning artist Lizzo will move forward. 3 of the entertainer's former dancers have accused her of sexual harassment in the workplace. Lizzo moved to have the case dismissed, but according to People magazine on Friday, Los Angeles County Judge Mark H. Epstein ruled the case could advance to trial. The judge did, however, dismiss some of the allegations. A spokesman for Lizzo told Entertainment Tonight Quote, "We are pleased with the Judge Epstein wisely threw out all or part of 4 of the plaintiff's causes of action." And Democrats are holding their first official presidential primary on Saturday in South Carolina. The Democratic National Committee changed its order of primaries to diversify early voting states, putting South Carolina in the first position this year instead of New Hampshire. President Joe Biden is expected to win big. The other approved candidates participating in the Democratic primary are Congressman Dean Phillips and Marianne Wilson. A Biden win in South Carolina could energize his re-election campaign as he prepares for a possible rematch with former President Donald Trump in November. But it's also a key test. Polls and Democratic focus groups show that many black voters feel disengaged and disenchanted with the political process right now. Top White House leadership says that there will be more attacks on Iran-backed militia groups in the Middle East, saying that the strikes over the weekend were the beginning, not the end, of U.S. retaliation. This comes after a drone attack killed 3 American soldiers in Jordan. CBS's Naomi Ruckham explains the challenge in avoiding a full-fledged conflict with Iran.
The U.S. says there are no plans to scale back its response against Iranian-backed militia groups after carrying out a series of airstrikes along with the U.K. over the weekend, targeting Houthi rebels in Yemen. This following other airstrikes in Iraq and Syria.
What happened on Friday was the beginning, not the end of our response.
But the U.S. is walking a fine line, careful to avoid hitting any targets inside Iranian territory.
We don't want to go to war with Iran. That, by the way, is an objective that Iran shares. They don't want to go to war with us.
Are the airstrikes working? Yes.
The escalation comes amid Republican criticism that the Biden administration waited too long to respond to the initial drone strike on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers.
You want to do this in a deliberate way. You want to do it. You want to carefully select your targets. You want to make sure that that all the parameters are in place to have good effect.
If they keep saying that they want to, retaliate, but then they say it's about deterrence. Then they say it's about diminishing capabilities. Those are all different goals and objectives, and they're not doing any of those.
All this as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is traveling to the region this week for a series of diplomatic meetings. Blinken has planned stops in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, Israel, and the West Bank. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Houthi attacks in the Red Sea have also had a drastic impact on international shipping, pushing oil prices higher. IKEA has said the conflict could lead to product shortages, and Carnival Cruises announced it is rerouting its 12 ships to avoid the region. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
And we've got ourselves a chilly start out there, but we're still above average. Skywatch Storm Tracker shows a few clouds. We've got some patchy fog and partly cloudy skies out there. Otherwise, all the action either out west or off to our south and east in Florida, where they actually dealt with severe weather the other day and even some tornado reports out there. Thankfully, nothing like that here. We do have that patchy fog, so Pittsburgh is the great example. 10 is what they should read. 10 miles of visibility when things are clear. Pittsburgh's the only one at 10. But the good news is we're not dealing with dense fog, and we have no dense fog advisories, but still be aware of that. As we go through today, we're going to have gradually clearing skies, initially partly cloudy for the first half of our day, and temperatures climbing into the low 50s. We got warmer weather on the way and rain chances as well. We'll have another full look at your forecast here in a few more minutes.
When I noticed my heat stopped.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning Show. Lori Horton joins us in studio to teach us how to make Southern butter pound cake.
Good morning, Lori. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. So January's over. We already broke all of those New Year's resolutions. Yeah. Let's just make a butter pound cake.
Off the table. We're going pound cake. And it's pound cake because traditionally it was made with a pound of butter, a pound of eggs, a pound of flour, and a pound of sugar.
Easy.
Nothing healthy about that at all, but that's okay. It's delicious.
We deserve it.
We do. So, usually I kind of keep things a little bit simpler. This recipe is maybe a little bit more detailed than we normally do, but it's a really good one. Don't be intimidated by a from-scratch cake recipe because it's really not that complicated, and we've only got a couple of ingredients that you probably don't already have in the cabinet, so nothing too scary.
All right.
We're going to start with 2 separate bowls. This is going to be our dry ingredients and then end up being our wet ingredients. So not a lot different than when we make a lot of cookie recipes where you kind of separate those and then blend them together in the end. But I've got just some flour over here. This is just a little bit of baking powder and salt. And then we're just gonna really lightly, if you can hit that for me, just whisk that in a little bit. You always wanna make sure that that doesn't end up in one clump in the middle. And then that's just gonna set aside while we work in all of these soft and liquid ingredients. And I've already got just some plain old granulated sugar in my big bowl over here.
Big bowl of sugar.
Big bowl of sugar. And then we're starting with a combination.
Okay.
I've got 2 sticks of just regular butter, actually.
Right.
And this is just room temperature, kind of soft but not melted. And then I've got another stick of butter flavored shortening. So I will brand name drop there. That is good old Crisco. You do kind of want to stick with that.
Hey,
because
it's a Southern recipe.
It's a Southern recipe, and when it comes to that butter flavoring, it's a little bit richer. It really is just a little bit better. So that's what we want to do, is really get something that's going to bring out all of those good rich butter flavors. So we are going to take this and start to cream it together.
Okay.
As it gets incorporated, we're going to add our eggs.
All right.
We're going to add some flavoring. And the recipe that is online on our KOAM News Now app is going to be to make it kind of lemon flavored if you want. So like vanilla
that makes
lemon.
sense, yes.
It's good. You can add anything in there you want, but I kind of thought we'd mix it up this morning, and I added a little bit of rum flavoring to mine.
All right.
And we're going to make kind of a rum glaze that we're going to put on the top when we get done to just tie all that together. You know, just again, tweak it to your taste.
Yes.
If lemon's your favorite, go with lemon. You can make the glaze lemon flavored as well. Put some fresh fruit in there, make it a little bit springy, strawberries, raspberries. It's delicious together. But we're going to start with that, and when we get these 2 things kind of ready to go, when we come back, we'll have them all blended without making a whole lot of noise for you today. And we'll show those textures and everything so that you'll know how to put those 2 things together. And we'll go from there into our bundt pan, make all those lovely shaped cakes super easy. The nice part is this one bakes for kind of a long time, so you can do 2 things at once.
Nice, perfect. All right, we'll stick around. We'll have more Cooking with Lori when we come up.
There they are, out of options and at a
Reed Pete, this Sunday on KOAM.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:23 on this Monday here in the 4 states. This is our camera on top of the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. A beautiful look out there. We got a few clouds here and there, and across the region we've got some patchy fog as well. MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line also looking good. Again, this is what I like about the early mornings and being able to see these views, because not everyone at home gets to see like Range Line when there's like 2 cars on it. Most of us, by the time you get out and start your day, it's already filled. It is a sea of vehicles, so it's kind of neat to be able to see that with nobody out there. It's a little eerie, too. When I first moved to mornings a year and a half ago, it was a little bit spooky. Driving around in town, and there's like 2 cars the entire drive here. KDOT cameras south of Pittsburgh also looking pretty good. So about that patchy fog, Pittsburgh now reporting some. Pittsburgh had been our example through the morning at 10 miles of visibility, and that's what these all should read on clear days. But as you can see, none of them now reading 10. Not significant reductions in visibilities, but it is enough that you want to slow down, watch out for that patchy fog out there. Our camera 7th and Range Line not showing any fog, at least right there, 36. Now remember, these conditions, the current conditions are reported at the Joplin Airport, which is on the far northern end of town. I've always thought that that station should be in downtown, but it's way up north. And the airport is reporting fog, but as you can see from 7th and Range Line, at least right now, no fog visible. Feels like 29, north breeze at about 6. Temperatures around the region above average. It is chilly outside, don't get me wrong, but we should be in the 20s, and we are sitting in the low to mid 30s, even some upper 30s along and south of the I-44 corridor. As we get our day started, this patchy fog should burn off by about mid-morning. We'll be partly cloudy, and we'll go into the the mid 40s. It's Monday. I'm getting there, I promise. I'm almost done with my coffee. We'll make it. We're going to go into the mid-40s by late morning. We're talking low 50s for highs today. Skies will gradually clear as we head through the second half of our Monday, and that will lead to mostly clear skies with just a few clouds here and there tonight. And we'll have overnight lows, again, chilly but above normal as we go into the low to mid-30s across the area, and temperature is going to go right back above normal over the next several days. Upper 50s, near 60 tomorrow. More clouds, though. but we can live with that. Cloudy skies again on Wednesday, but low 60s return. Those continue into Friday. Could see some scattered shower chances as we go into our Thursday. Rain chances possible on Sunday as well. And we do get a little cooler. And by cooler, I mean back to normal for our highs next Monday and Tuesday. And we go back to the mid-50s by next Wednesday. That is a check of your forecast. Now we're going to send it over to Caitlin with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, the number of mental health clinics with a telehealth option depends more on where you live and less about ethnicity or health condition. A study published in JAMA Health Forum finds that southern states are less likely to provide virtual services than states in the Northeast, Midwest, and West. Nationally, 8 in 10 facilities offer telehealth, but less than half do in Mississippi and South Carolina. And scientists at Duke University have recorded an ultra-fast movement by the HIV virus that begins the infection. The structure snaps open and shut on the human T cell in just a few millionths of a second. Officials hope that the finding leads to an antibody that prevents the virus from opening. And people with mild COVID-19 infections are likely to develop sleep issues. Vietnamese researchers looked at more than 1,000 adults who did not need to be hospitalized. 76% reported experiencing insomnia, and 22% said that their symptoms were severe. Rates of insomnia were higher for people with anxiety or depression. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back.
Between the wildlife, wilder drivers, and wild weather, it's a real jungle out there. When accidents happen, remember Larry's
and streaming on Paramount Plus. Ashley, this is home.
Right now at 6:30, the Miners Hall Museum shares past and present wedding traditions during its I Do presentation.
Well, we've got ourselves a chilly, but otherwise not too bad start out there with some patchy fog. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, musicians of all skill levels gather at the Joplin Native American Flute Circle.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:30 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday in the 4 states. Did you have a good weekend?
Of course, Chris. Did you have a nice little vacation?
It was pretty decent. I got to spend all day Friday with Amber at home. My Amber, my wife Amber, not our Amber Jenkins, but my Amber. We spent some time together. It was great because the kids were in school. We don't get days like that anymore. Those are you kids, nice. you know what I'm talking about. So it was pleasant. No deadlines. We didn't have to rush. It's a really good day. And I hope you all had a fantastic weekend as well. And I know it rained on the weekend, but we're going to warm right back up starting today. This is the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Looking pretty good so far. A few more cars out there on the road as folks start to get their day underway. We also have excuse me, some patchy fog to talk about. Now, earlier through the morning, Pittsburgh was the only location reporting clear visibility, which is 10 miles. Nobody's reporting that now. The good news is, as you can see, fog density levels are not overly dense. Visibilities are not significantly reduced, but they are reduced, especially the further west you go. So do make sure you slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Use your low beams, not your high beams. You know the drill here. Just be cautious out there. Again, Joplin, 36 degrees, 36 in Pittsburgh, and it's kind of difficult to tell for sure on this KDOT camera, but it doesn't look like there's any impressive fog out there. Hopefully it stays that way. We do not need those zero visibilities like we saw a couple of weeks ago. All right, so kids getting on the bus again, some patchy fog, otherwise partly cloudy. Chilly, but above average into the low 30s. North breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour. As that bus brings them home, a few clouds out there. North breeze picks up a bit, 5 to 15. Could see an occasional gust to 20 and temperatures into the upper 40s. We are looking at highs today going into the low 50s, so another above average day out there, warming up nicely. In fact, by the second half of our Monday, we'll start to see gradually clearing skies as well. However, that is ahead of increasing clouds, increasing temperatures, and at least a couple of possible rounds of rain. We'll look at all that in the full forecast a little later. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. When you hear wedding bells, there's always something old, new, borrowed, and blue, and often that old can be a tradition of the past. Yesterday, the Miners Hall Museum hosted an Entertainment and Traditions Over the Years presentation in conjunction with their quarterly Wedding I Do exhibit. Guests were invited to learn about wedding traditions throughout the decades and see how they've progressed throughout the years.
So we will be talking about chivalries. So that's something from the past, especially in the area. And I don't know if you know what a chivalry is, but it's kind of good intended pranks that people would play on newlyweds once they were married. From the early 1900s, weddings were a lot more simple and earlier, like they usually had weddings at midday and during the week at that time, and now weekends are more common.
There was wedding cake and a classic punch with sherbet after the presentation. The I Do exhibit will run until March 23rd. And the Joplin Native American Flute Circle yesterday had its monthly meeting. Joplin Native American Flute Circle is a gathering of Indigenous-style flute enthusiasts who appreciate and play native flutes. The circle invites musicians of all skill levels and ages out to play in their festivities.
It gives us an ability to express ourselves because it's not really an instrument that has a chromatic scale and you go out and buy sheet music for. And so it's more an expression of self and very much, or you could say spirit through self.
The event was held from 4 to 6 p.m. And Connect to Culture in Joplin yesterday gave audiences the chance to connect with historical figures. It's part of their Letters Aloud series, which is where performers read personal correspondence from figures. The performance was titled The Greatest Rejection Letters Ever. Officials say it provides viewers with a deeper connection to history and the people who shaped it.
They have different themes of letters that they can read for performances, but we chose the rejection letters just because it's a little funny being in advance of Valentine's Day. But they're not going to be stories all that deal with relationships. They deal with, being rejected from a college, maybe not getting the job you wanted, or even maybe somebody just rejecting a rejection letter.
You can find information and buy tickets for other C2C performances on the organization's website. And pop culture enthusiasts celebrated everything from anime to comic books to sci-fi and beyond Saturday at the Neosho ArtCon. Fans could cosplay to their favorite character and even participate in esports tournaments. ArtCon also invited special guests like actor Isaac Singleton, comic creator Andrew Parks, and Kevin Mellon for fans to meet.
I've seen a lot of great things here today. I can't say I picked anything for sure, but I just know I resonated well. There was a person there selling all kinds of crystals and spherical balls, and also somebody was in there selling a different die for different various role-playing games. So I like that.
Saturday's event was hosted by the Neosho Arts Council, and admission was $5 per person. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Facebook turned 20 on Sunday, which means an entire generation of young people have never known life without it. Plus, we have a mostly sunny but chilly day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Sky Casino is the place to be in February.
And keep you connected. We could not do it without their passion and hard work. Thank you, Crocan employees, for making us the best.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Facebook turned 20 on Sunday, which means an entire generation of young people have never known life without it, or the social media explosion that followed. Christine Lazar looks at how a digital yearbook turned into a cultural phenomenon.
Back up, guys, back up. When Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook as a Harvard undergrad on February 4th, 2004, he did it with a $1,000 personal investment and the goal of creating a digital yearbook.
What's important to remember about Facebook is for the first 5 years, there was no like button.
CNET's senior consumer tech reporter Nick Wolney says adding that like button proved to be a game changer.
You saw more of a desire to post popular content, to post things that would be popular. And it ultimately just began to change and even shape the American psyche.
With advertisers lining up in droves, Facebook grew, purchasing Instagram, launching Messenger, even becoming a political player.
Well, definitely the 2016 election was a turning point. It saw examples of political influence on a much larger scale. You also saw examples of other countries asserting influence on an American election.
Zuckerberg has been a fixture on Capitol Hill, called to testify about everything from election interference to privacy issues, and most recently, child sexual exploitation on social media.
Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your project?
No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
In 2021, Facebook changed its name to Meta with the hopes of building a new digital world.
Over time, I hope that we are seen as a metaverse company.
Those plans faltered, with the metaverse concept losing billions. Still, Facebook's legacy and Meta's impact endures.
Do you think that without Facebook's success, we would have as many social media platforms as we do today?
Absolutely not. What they have over all the other platforms is that they did it first and that they're doing it on a very large scale.
More than 3 billion people use at least one Meta product daily. Christine Lazar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And the latest jobs report released Friday showed U.S. employers added a whopping 353,000 jobs in January. That's after upward revisions to the previous 2 months, blowing past economists' predictions. The largest growth was in professional and business services, healthcare, and retail. The unemployment rate remains at a 50-year low of 3.7%. And Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell pointed to the latest unemployment numbers as a sign of a strong U.S. economy in a rare interview with CBS News 60 Minutes last night. But he has said, quote, that the job is not done when it comes to the central bank's efforts to fight inflation, even though that has fallen sharply over the past few months. Powell signaled that the Fed likely won't be ready to cut its benchmark interest rate until May at the earliest. And ahead of last night's big Grammy Award ceremony, Music Care's charity relief auction through Julian's Auction House raised thousands of dollars to support members of the music community. Items were donated from past and present Grammy winners and nominees. A guitar for Music Care's 2024 Person of the Year, John Bon Jovi, sold for more than $44,000, while a gold stage costume worn by Dua Lipa netted one of the largest sums at just over $50,000. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a pretty decent day out there. Take a look outside. This is our camera on the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin, getting some daylight. Again, got a few clouds. There's some patchy fog out there for some of us as well. And it is a little bit on the cold side, but still above normal for this time of year. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, also looking pretty good. Here's a look at that fog tracker. So again, on a clear day, all of these should read 10 miles. And as you can see, we do have some reduced visibilities, especially further west. They're not significantly reduced, nor do we have any dense fog advisories at this point, but you could still run into some patchy fog out there, so do slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Low beams, not your high beams, fog lights, you guys know the drill out there. 36 in Joplin, 36 in Pittsburgh right now. Kids getting on the bus this morning, looking pretty good, but again, cold, fog possible, partly cloudy otherwise, low 30s, north breeze at about 5 to 10, and when that bus brings them back home, we're going to be upper 40s, mostly clear, north breeze 5 to 15, could see some occasional gusts upwards of 20. We'll have another full look at your forecast here in just a moment. It's also just about time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. This is coming up after the break. But first, these fine folks in New York City in an eerily deserted studio getting ready for CBS Mornings. Let's see what they've got coming up on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Gail and Anthony will join us from Los Angeles following music's biggest night, the Grammys. We will break down all the big winners, biggest performances, and Gail will share all the big singers and celebrities that she talked to on the red carpet. Coming up on CBS Mornings.
Kansas Crossing Casino is more than a gaming four-state area. We have your size in stock. Carnes Pro Tire in Quapaw, a half-mile south of Baxter Springs.
Time for those Monday birthdays here in the 4 states. We're starting in Frontenac with Jackson McPherson celebrating birthday number 3. Happy birthday.
And happy 4th birthday to Denver Hayden. It says, happy birthday, we love you.
And over in Fulton, Kansas, Rance Keating celebrating birthday number 7. Happy birthday.
Easton Phipps of Galena, Kansas turns 9 today. It says, love Grandma and Papa.
And in Fort Scott, Blake Hickson celebrating birthday number 18 with a throwback pic here. Very happy birthday to you, Blake.
And happy 34th birthday to Richard Bender.
And in Parsons, Gina Bauer celebrating birthday number 43. Happy birthday, Gina.
Taking it over to Weir, Kansas, happy 69th birthday to Deborah Humble.
And in Fort Scott, Tom Christie celebrating birthday number 80. Another great throwback picture here. Happy birthday, Tom.
And over in Parsons, Kansas, W.L. Beniki turns 91. It says, happy birthday to our favorite Korean War veteran. I love Shirley, Chris, Karen, David, Ethan, Aiden, and Landon.
All right, and over in Galesburg, we've got Dawn Robinson. She's 29 and holding. Happy birthday wishes coming from your friends and family.
I like that. Taking it over to Parsons, happy birthday to Annie Bybee. She still shows up to the bowling alley to spread her cheer, wisdom, and sage advice. Happy birthday from all of your bowling teammates.
And in Weir, Gerald Molnix celebrating another year wisey. Wisey, my goodness. Wiser, happy birthday.
And happy birthday to Joe Titus of Fort Scott, Kansas.
And our list continues with Sandy Wommeldorf in Parsons celebrating birthday number 75. Says, Sandy is a proud pitcher chat rat.
And over in Crestline, Kansas, happy birthday to Karen Vaughn. It says happy birthday from the Crestline girls.
And in Columbus, Ruth Benedict celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Ruth.
Also in Columbus, happy birthday to Tracy Spear.
And Rebecca Bertella celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, Rebecca.
Happy birthday to Pat Patusek over in Cherokee, Kansas.
And in Chanute, Mary Ferris celebrating birthday number 81. A very happy birthday to everyone on our list.
Yes.
We would like to continue to celebrate these with you. What can they do if they want to celebrate with us?
All right, well, all you have to do is just submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. Be sure to include pictures and any fun little messages that you want us to read out loud on your special day.
And of course, as we continue to remind you, just to be sure, take a look at the bottom of that screen. You see the deadlines to get those birthdays in order to make sure they air on the correct date. So don't miss those deadlines. You don't want to miss that special celebration, and you don't want to miss this. This is our camera, downtown Joplin, the Cornell Complex. Look at that sunrise. Just a few clouds out there. It is looking pretty good so far. MoDOT camera 20th in range line, getting a few more cars on the roadway, but otherwise looking pretty good out there. Same from the KDOT camera just south of Pittsburgh on 69. A great start to the day. We do have some patchy fog to contend with, especially as you head out along and west of US 75, almost right along that point. We got some slightly denser fog, but as you can see, visibility is not significantly reduced, but still, you want to watch out for that. And we do have reduced visibilities around the area, but again, the good news is no dense fog advisories. Shouldn't get any worse than what it is right now, which is fantastic news. I'm going to move one more time. Take a look. There's another shot of that sunrise from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex. Or no, this is our camera at 7th and Range Line. It's Monday. I told you, you take 2 days off and your whole world's upside down. Looking great, though. Absolutely beautiful. Now, remember, for the city of, well, for most locations across the country, current conditions are typically monitored at the local airport. Of course, Joplin's airport, way up on the north side of town, which I've always thought that station should be somewhere, in downtown or something closer to that, but that's all right. The airport is reporting fog. It's 36, 29 is what it feels like. As you see our camera at 7th and Range Line, we're not really seeing any fog out there, but that's not to say you're not seeing some on the north side of town. North breeze at 9 miles an hour. Temperatures around the region, they look about like this. They look like the 30s. We've got some low 30s, we've got upper 30s, looking pretty decent out there. And even though this is cold, it's supposed to be much colder. We're supposed to be in the 20s at about this time of day. So, can't complain. And even if we did, it wouldn't do us any good. We could go outside and complain all day. Mother Nature's not going to respond. In fact, if we complain too much, she might make it worse, and we don't want to do that. All right, partly cloudy skies, some patchy fog through the first half of our morning, and then we'll go into the mid-40s by late morning with those partly cloudy skies. We have a pretty decent day lined up for us, pretty decent week as well. We'll look at that in the full forecast and the news you need to know here in just a moment. And when we make the transition over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., we're going to get a sneak peek of the new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game and what supervillains you can expect to see in it.
When I noticed my heat stop.
Supansik, a four-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Newton County Sheriff is asking the public for any information regarding a burglary at the Pierce City Fire Department. On Friday, February 2nd, the fire station on 10,040 Wallaby Road near Jolly Mill was discovered to have been broken into. After an inventory was taken, it was discovered that about $3,000 of equipment was missing. If you have any information regarding the missing equipment, the Sheriff's Department is encouraging you to call the Newton County Sheriff's Office. And community members joined together to remember a Commerce, Oklahoma man 4 years after he was murdered. Yesterday's remembrance is known as Dusty Miller Day. There was a candlelight vigil, and those in attendance are hoping to keep Dusty's memory and spirit alive. Dusty's murder remains unsolved, and the community is still seeking answers. Pop culture enthusiasts celebrated everything from anime to comic books to sci-fi and beyond Saturday at the Neosho Art Con. Fans could cosplay as their favorite character, participate in esports tournaments, and ArtCon was also invited by special guests like actor Isaac Singleton and comic creator Andrew Parks and Kevin Mellon for fans to meet. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, it's a cold start with some patchy fog, but we'll go partly cloudy later today and temperatures above average back into the low 50s out there. Skies will gradually clear through the second half of our Monday, mostly clear overnight, another cold one, but still above normal as we fall back in the low to mid 30s. And take a look at the week ahead, looking pretty good out there. Temperatures continue to warm, low 60s heading into Friday, mostly cloudy tomorrow and Wednesday, some showers Thursday, a little cooler by next Sunday, but still above normal with some additional rain chances out there on Sunday as well.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making goes with anything cheesy grits in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
I still can't get over all the names he comes. I really want to be in Howard's head and figure out how he figures these, like where he comes up.
It goes with anything.
So it's very, very interesting. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying, like, they're always interesting. They're very unique names for food.
Yes, they are, Chris.
Well, the good news is your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. The Chiefs and 49ers, they've arrived in Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58. Ahead on CBS Mornings, Dana Jacobson takes a look at all the storylines heading into the big game, airing right here on KOAM.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, parents, college, and high school students who recently filled out their FAFSA information should expect some delays. We have what you need to know.
Plus, everyone's favorite, Lori Horton joining us back in the studio to finish making her Southern Butter Pound Cake. That's going to wrap it. Lori, by the way, that's a challenge. You need to start coming up with just really bizarre, unique names for everything you make. As many words as possible. That's going to wrap it up for us for now, though. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.
Southeast Kansas Humane Society hosts its